Hello everyone, welcome to Naisa's channel, and today I'm going to be showing you 2 ways to create eyebrows in Nomad Sculpt. The first thing that we are going to do is lay out the position of our eyebrow, like where you want the eyebrow to be on the face. I'm going to do that just by drawing a line across the eyebrow line, and after that is done, we're going to do like a little guide for the directions of the hairs. So basically, when creating eyebrows, there's usually like a basic layout or direction that the hairs go into. So at the corner of the eye, hairs go up. In the center, the hairs start to turn outward to the end of the eyebrow, and then at the end, the hairs continue to go down to the bottom or the end of the eyebrow. Once that is done, we're going to outline the actual eyebrow. I like really thick, bushy eyebrows, so I'm going to do that. You can do thin eyebrows, you can design any type of eyebrows that you want. Lower the opacity of the guide so that it's easier to see. And the next thing we're going to do is go into the crease tool in invert mode. Make sure it's in invert mode. And we're going to turn the intensity up as high as you can, and then turn the radius of the crease tool as low as you can. You want it hair thin when doing this. This is going to be done on a separate layer because this layer you cannot, or you could, but I don't recommend you doing it because it's going to take a lot of time for you to go back and redraw all those hairs again. So now what I am doing is drawing each hair going in the direction that the guide that I created, and we're just going to build those hairs up and keep going in directions. Make sure you're actually turning in that direction, follow the arrows, and this creates a pretty good and realistic brow, I would say. I love using this technique because it's a lot easier, it doesn't use as much space on my iPad, and it becomes, or it looks more realistic than doing little hairs with the next method. But the next method is also a great method, and you're going to love the method as well when we get to it. So nothing very special. I go in and add some details, some loose hairs around the eyebrow. I call it the untamed brow, and just toss some hairs out here and there and make sure we're still following that directional aspect that we included in our guide in the beginning. No need to fill this. This remains on a separate layer. I gotta repeat that again because changing the color is impossible unless you have the patience to go back in with the paint tool and paint over every single one of those hairs. This is why it's important to have the crease tool in invert mode, because you can see like that sort of like hairy build up when you turn your sculpt to the side. I labeled this eyebrows, and in every sculpt that I use this technique for, I keep the eyebrows separate. I don't ever merge the eyebrow layer down. This is what it's going to look like when you paint the layer below the eyebrows. The eyebrows will remain black when you do this. Okay, now the next technique. This is similar to the eyelash technique where you have to go into the tube and actually create the little hair for the eyebrow, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So we make our tube, and I only like to use 3 or 4 points, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of those, and then I'm going to rearrange the eyebrow position to make it look like there's a hair coming off the forehead. Reduce the radius of the top and the bottom, make the tips thin. Once adjusted to your likeness, we're going to go ahead and start duplicating this little hair. If this happens to you, to solve this, go into the transfer or gizmo tool and choose pivot, and you're going to adjust the blue arrow downward. This should help. You can also do or go in any direction for any time you do this technique, and it should be able to fix that little error with the hair poking out instead of doing it against the head. So once that is fixed, we're going to go back to the transformation or gizmo tool, and we're going to select instance. And what this will do, this will automatically duplicate the hair that you just created. And an instance is that they're all connected. So if you manipulate these hairs, they're all going to be manipulated. You can't just manipulate one and it will look different. It will change all of the hairs. So going like before, going in the direction of the arrows that we created before, we're going to start creating those instances and going towards the end of the brow, turning the instance in the direction, and you do that by still holding your pencil or your finger on the tablet, and then also using your other finger to tap and change the setting to move, rotate, or scale. And this is what I was talking about, this being an instance. If you manipulate one, you're going to manipulate all. We're going to keep creating these instances until the brow is full, and make sure that you're turning each hair as you're adding the hair. And then also, even though this is still an instance, you can select a new hair that you apply to the head after you change the direction. So when you instance that hair, it's going to be turned in that direction. So you don't have to keep turning or going into gizmo to turn that hair that you just did. It's going to already be turned for you, and you can just slightly rotate it a little bit. As you can see, I'm starting to go to the center of the brow where it's going more towards the end of the brow. And I chose I selected the hair that was at that arrow going to the end of the brow, and I turned that into my instance. And as you can see, the hairs are turned matching the hair that I just did. And it's a lot easier for me to be able to rotate the hair when I go into switch mode, and I don't have to do as much transformation or transforming when I'm in gizmo mode. We're going to continue this down the brow, turning the hairs. And I also like to point out, when you're doing eyebrows, towards the corner or the end corner of your eye, the hairs start to go pointed in. So it goes from top to center, bottom to center. This doesn't have to be for every brow. Some brows you see that all the hair is just pointing up in the same direction and they're trimmed. Some brows are not as not as bushy and you can do a few hairs, but I personally like to do really bushy brows, so I add a lot of hair, and this particular technique takes up a lot of room on your device, but it is extremely worth it when you do put this on here. And to pretty much fix that, you're going to go into the multi-resolution and you're going to delete the lower, and what that does is lower the resolution of the hair, and it uses less space. But you're going to do this after the entire eyebrow is done, after all the hairs are joined. So when you do that, you can make sure you check and see that the hairs don't get distorted or look strange. Once we're done with our eyebrow, we're going to select every single tube and join them. I treat sculpting like drawing or applying makeup after the sculpt is done. So to make this brow a lot like deeper or filled in, I just take the paintbrush tool and I fill in the eyebrow, and then I use the smudge tool to lightly erase some of that of the color in the front of the eyebrow, and that is how I do my eyebrows. Two very effective ways to create the eyebrow that I absolutely adore using, and I hope you do as well. So if you want to learn anything else like this in Nomad Sculpt, please leave a comment below. Please like and subscribe for future videos, and I will see you guys later. Thank you.